Today we're going to go over verse number 3 of the 36 and 48 verses. This verse starts by saying, the stance is flexed, the foot extends straight as it reaches forward, just like pushing a millstone. The knees are bent, the hips go along, the body twists fully. The eyes see in 3 directions. There is no wavering of the body. So that third verse is now starting to talk about the circle walking, of course. It starts by saying that the stance is flexed, the hip, the knee, the ankle is flexed, and each foot extends straight as it reaches forward, which of course begs the question of how can you walk in a circle if the foot reaches straight? And of course the answer is that the leg as a whole is turned. It's important to have the knee and the foot lined up so that the ankle remains strong. But instead of it going straight and forward, if you turn in the whole leg, that will take you around the circle. The extra part of that is that it extends straight as the foot reaches forward. Reaching forward means that instead of the foot just coming out and landing, we do need to reach the foot forward. Reach the foot forward. Some styles of Bagua, that reach introduces just that short distance kick to it with each one. So that varies from each style whether or not the kick is present, but the reaching part needs to be consistent. Kick or no kick, you need to make sure that the foot reaches forward. And then the verse says, just like pushing a millstone. That has 3 meanings to it, of course. First is that you're going around in a circle. Second is you're not going around the circle just once. You're going around the circle many, many times to grind the grain into flour. And you're doing it in a way that has enough strength behind it to be able to push the millstone. So they're not so much talking about where the hands are positioned. If they were pushing a millstone, they'd be somewhere around here. But what they are talking about is the dynamics of the legs and the positioning of the body. So it needs to be set down, and it needs to be able to provide enough of a push so that if you were pushing against resistance, you would be able to move that millstone forward. This is, again, talking about with or without the mud step, the tanibu. With that, it simply emphasizes that extra push. Right? But it is possible to have that dynamic even without doing the sliding of the front foot. From there, third line says, the knee bends, the hips go along, and the waist turns fully. Earlier on in the same verse, we're talking about how the leg extends. Now we're talking about how the knee is flexed. So there is a motion that happens through the legs. In a future verse, they talk about how the walking happens below the knees. So this alignment through from the knee to the ankle to the foot is very important for circle walking. There needs to be that extend as it reaches forward. There needs to be the bend of the knee and allowing the hips to follow through. The fourth line is the sum total of all that. If you can have all those parts in place, then with the waist turned fully, the knees flexed, the body, the foot being able to reach straight forward as it walks a circle, then the eyes will be able to see in 3 directions, and the body will not waver. And again, this is independent of what the hands are doing. The hand posture is not the topic of this verse. If you don't have those dynamics, if you don't have the hip going along, if you don't have the stance flexed, then the body will waver as you go through the stepping, right? You need to be able to set into the stance, find the proper extension and push that allows the body to stay in a stable position as you walk through. Different styles will do the walk slightly differently. Some have the slide, some have the kick, some have an easier, less definite lift of the back leg. But nonetheless, across the styles, these points remain the same. If you find that the ankle is not strong enough, then there'll be a little bit of instability that happens with each time you come onto that front foot. That has more to do with training and strengthening those ligaments, tendons, and muscles through this area. But again, this is why with this third verse, there's so much emphasis of what happens from the waist down, and particularly from the knees through to the feet. So I hope that's helpful for you in terms of your Bagua training. I look forward to seeing you again next time.